Welcome back, Washington, D.C. Metro, to Real Estate Radio. I am your host, Ryan Sloper, joined by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. Quick reminder before we get started, Real Estate Radio is designed to build the Washington, D.C. Metro's market by giving you good free advice. If you ever have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs, the best number to reach out to us is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030, or you can reach out at www.realestateradio.dcmetro.com. There was a great article, actually, that was in the Wall Street Journal and a couple other news stations that were reporting that the for sale by owner founder and CEO gave up on his own listing of his own condominium in New York City and hired a real estate broker. There's a lot of irony in that. Louis, did you catch that article?
I did.
It was it was very interesting, and I'm just going to read a little portion. Founder and former CEO, this is from AG Beat News. For sale by owner, Colby Sambrato listed his 2,000 square foot New York condominium on his own through an online classified ad in FSBO site. But after 6 months, he opted to hire a New York broker, Jesse Buckler, who immediately advised a price change as the listing was not attracting the right buyer. After giving up on the do-it-yourself route, Sambrato's decision to hire a broker led to attracting multiple offers, closing for $150,000 over their original asking price. The Wall Street Journal reported that the listing sold for $2.15 million, including a 6% commission. Now, this isn't any new news to us as far as we know that the for sale by owners aren't going to net as much money as using a real estate agent and all that, but I just think that it's hilarious that the actual CEO of for sale by owner actually went through with that process.
Well, we've done a survey as well, the HomeGain Realtor versus FSBO survey, and we found that 60% of homeowners that use the Realtor to sell their home were successful, where only 40% of FSBOs were. So that's like a 50% higher closing rate for those using a Realtor than trying to sell it on their own. And clearly, the Realtor, they know how to sell homes.
Yep.
FSBOs are people who are trying to do it on their own. And there's also greater satisfaction with the process. 81% of homeowners that use a Realtor to try to sell their home said they'd use a real estate agent again. And I think 70% of FSBOs said they would. But then I think 25% of FSBOs eventually decided to enlist the aid of a Realtor. They threw the towel in and they said, I need professional help here.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to note that a lot of the reasons why people try to sell their house for sale by owner is because they think that they, don't have much room, meaning they owe too much on their mortgage, they're trying to cut corners, don't want to have to pay commissions. But this is a great example of this guy was going to cost himself more money because he chose to try to sell it on his own. And I think that that's a very valid point for anybody out there. If you're out there trying to sell your house for sale by owner right now, and you've had it on the market for 3 or 4 months, and you're just like, okay, I'm not getting any bites. There could be a list of number of reasons why you're not getting bites. Number one, because you're probably not listed on the multiple listing system that all agents have access to. You're not going to really find any agent that's going to go around showing your house if it's not listed on there. They're not going to go to the FSBO site and say, hey, let's go look at this FSBO. That's one of the main reasons. But also, we discussed a couple weeks back, if you guys were listening, about staging your property. And any good agent that's out there today will tell you that staging's a huge, huge reason for why properties sell, and they sell for more, for list price or higher.
Sure. They have realtors have access to information. They have access to other professionals that can help, like stagers. If you're going to do it on your own, it's a full-time job. If you have to go to work, then you have to come home and try to show the house. You have to find stagers. You don't know which ones are the good ones. You just don't have all the information. You just don't have the experience to do it. Now, you can do it. There are plenty of FSBOs who pull it off.
Right.
But they'll tell you that maybe they don't want to go through that again. It wasn't worth the time, because your time is worth money too.
Time is worth money, and they might have ultimately cost themselves a bigger return.
Sure, they may have sold the home. That doesn't mean they sold it at the price that it could have been sold for, or within the time frame that it should have been sold for. I think we had Sean Murphy from Remax on last week or two, and he mentioned that when he stages the home, the average selling time on the market is just 30 days.
Yeah, I believe he didn't even have a listing that went past 30 days when he had
Not the average time, right? The longest time.
Yeah, which is incredible. I mean, how many people would like to have their house sell, not only go on the market, but sell in 30 days?
Well, some people get a great joy out of saying, well, they saved the commission even though it took them 2 years to sell it.
That's true. That's true. You're listening to Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, and we're discussing whether you should sell your house for sale by owner or get a real estate agent that really knows what's going on the ground in your market. It just seems like, I think even in that article, Louis, I know you referred to them to your HomeGain blog. How can they get to your blog to check that article out?
Oh, sure. If you go to homegain.com, I'm just looking at it right now, you can access most of our surveys directly from the homepage of homegain.com. The for sale by owner versus realtor survey can be found by looking for the 2 yard signs on the front page, and you click on that, and that'll take you directly to the results of that survey.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, because even in this article, like I said, I think they gave percentages of well over 80% of FSBOs eventually have to list with a real estate agent to get their house sold anyway. So I think that, time equals money, especially in today's market, Louis. Wouldn't you agree that with the interest rates where they are in the D.C. metro area, I mean, we're actually cooking with gas a little bit here because with interest rates the lower they've been, we've been actually had some pretty decent appreciation in home prices. So, if you're really waiting or trying to sell your house for sale by owner, you could be costing yourself precious dollars if you don't end up selling for 6 months and then have to list with an agent.
And what other thing would you try to give yourself on the job training, to try to sell something for $600,000?
You're right. I mean,
it's almost back to the lawyer example. The lawyer who tries to the lawyer tries to defend himself hasn't asked for a client.
Yep.
It's not easy to do, to defend yourself. It's hard to represent yourself, and it's hard to sell an asset for $600,000, $700,000, especially if you've never done it before.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure that the majority of people that take that stance that I can represent myself or that I can sell my home by myself, it's a monetary thing, I believe, for most people.
Sure.
And that's really, I think, what it boils down to. But I want to stress that if you're out there right now, you don't even have to choose to list with a real estate agent. But you know what? Pick up the phone, call them, let them come out, give you a listing presentation, see what it's all about. You might find out that you have a lot more options than what you thought.
Oh, sure. Go to homegain.com, and you can compare realtors for free. They'll send you anonymous proposals. You get 4 or 5 of those, and you can talk to all of them from the comfort of your home without having to you can remain anonymous, and that's another way of checking it out.
Right, and you can choose which one you're comfortable with, right? I mean, once they're given the options, they can kind of...
Right, then you can give up your name, and then they can come give you that listing presentation, so you won't have 6 or 7 of them coming to see you.
Yeah,
or calling you constantly.
That's probably, one of the best ways, too, Louis, just because I think that it is proven that... I can't remember the number, but it doesn't... Most sellers they're at least interviewing, 2 to 3 real estate agents anyway?
Well, there's a very bad statistic. Not only that the HomeGain survey shows that you do better by 50% getting your home sold using a real estate agent, but 71% of consumers who actually use a real estate agent pick the first one they talk to.
Yeah.
Now, that's a big mistake. So, again, if you go to HomeGain, you can compare realtors, and you can pick one that makes sense. Or you can not pick one of the HomeGain ones, and you can decide to go FSBO or pick another real estate agent. But at least if you come to HomeGain, you can gather your information and make an informed decision, and chances are you'll find a decent one, and they'll get your home sold for you.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest component right in today's market is being educated and informed. And I think HomeGain, you guys do a great job of giving a wealth of information to consumers, and that is, really invaluable when people are trying to make a decision about what they should do next. Sometimes a lot of people do a lot of their independent research on their own, and they go to different sites and they're, kind of thrown all over the place. They can't really decipher what's going on, but you guys do a great job. I would highly recommend you guys, if you get a chance, check out homegain.com today. If you're a buyer or seller that's in the market and you're looking to connect with a real estate agent, it's a great platform. Highly recommend it. I'm going to jump into Word on Wealth segment. This is where we give you an overview of what happened last week in the market and how it affects you, the consumer, financially. Obviously, last Monday we had the debt agreement, which was reached, and it's about time. I mean, how long did that thing drag out? It was just ridiculous. I believe, once again, that we're just kicking the can down the road. If you've been listening to the show for the last 4 to 5 months, Louis and I have continuously talked about, that we are ultimately, this is going to come to a tipping point where we can't kick the can any further. It's just a matter of how long is that time frame going to be. Also on Monday, the Standard & Poor's still threatened to downgrade the rating, which they obviously did Friday evening, where it took the AAA to a AA+. For the rest of the week, on Tuesday, continuing through, the stock market was just getting absolutely crushed. Down, the Dow was over 250 points down on Tuesday, and I believe that they actually went down for 9 straight days, which was the first time since October 2008 when the crisis was hitting that the Dow had gone down that many days in a row. Now, good news for people that are in the market trying to buy a home or refinance is that when that market was tanking for the stock market, mortgage rates were getting better. And I want to kind of tell you guys that are out there that are trying to shop for a mortgage, one of the easiest things to do most of the time, and this isn't 100% of the time true, but most of the time, if you just look at stocks and bonds, typically if the stock market is getting better, mortgage rates are getting worse. If the stock market is getting worse, mortgage rates are getting better. Like I said, it's not 100% true, but most of the time it is. So a lot of the fear that's pushed out there by the national media that makes people, get uncomfortable about their transaction, and they're unsure if they're going to be able to qualify now because interest rates are just going to shoot through the roof from, 4.375 to 6% overnight. I want to kind of ease your fears, and it's not going to happen that quickly, although it could happen. I really don't see that happening anytime soon. What I just quoted, the average rates from last week with the 30-year fixed mortgage was at 4.37%, and the average for the 15-year fix was 3.52. Along with, Lewis, the 5-year adjustable rate, which we have been talking about in previous shows, was 2.87%. Now, I'm getting kind of confused because when I read these off sometimes, I would think they might be like CD rates or something like that. And they're mortgage rates. And
CD rates are close to zero.
Well, they are. But you remember when the market was going hot, we actually had CD rates and people were actually paying, 2.5%, 3% interest on their CDs. Now we're talking about mortgage rates.
Well, now also, Ryan, just keep in mind the stock market's gone down those days. It's down again today. If the stock market continues to go down, you know that the Fed is going to act, and that'll have the impact of lowering interest rates even further.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm just kind of – that's what worries me the most is we haven't had any real certainty in the market, and one way or the other it goes really hard one way and then comes back really hard the other. So government intervention is definitely going to take place. When we come back, we're going to jump more into interest rates and how you can potentially refinance your home even if you're upside down and you think you're out of options when we come back.